they've been dug in for so much longer. The British soon arrived relatively late on. Once we get beyond this barn, if you look over your left shoulder, you'll realise that all of the German-held land behind us is out of sight. This valley in front of us is one of the safest, most secure routes that the Commonwealth troops were using throughout the whole of the Somme offensive, and beyond that, and down on our right-hand side, this is Smash Valley that we're coming into. It's known as Smash because Valley, the Roman road in, was called Scottish Valley, so Bangers and Mash took a shower in here, and Joe probably desperate for Bangers and Mash, and all they'll be getting is dried bread and biscuits and spam, so this became Mash Valley. Travelling in from 1915 onwards, but during the 141 days this route was absolutely jam-packed with men and machines moving to and from the front, and this is the route that we still use now, as we know that it existed then. It's on all of the maps at the time, and we would have had a nightmare travelling up this road with all this time. Imagine what it was like for men driving big wagons, early diesel lorries and horses, carts, motorbikes, ambulances and thousands of men on foot, all using this mixed track road. Of course they'd have been able to use it as well, but this is the primary route that they use to get up into the horseshoe of Wood on the map. Up on our right hand side at about 2 o'clock near Cotton Street, and that's a French defensive position from 1914. There's a whole series of gun-pits up there, and French burials in the cemetery. It is possible in the woods they can see everybody down in the cemetery. They've been buried in the woods 170 level, and it's used as a reference point for everybody who was coming in and landing on the strip. Next to the modern day control tower up there. It was far easier to see the wood from a distance than it was to try and find the grass landing strip and then into the fields up on the ridge. one of the valleys which runs at 90 degrees to it. We will then pick it up later on. It's one of the runs for quite a few miles up the front. Just beware that we've got trees of horses and some kids on bikes ahead of us. I think we might end up meeting quite a few people coming the other way. It looks as though the organised route is going to cross us in several points today. We come up this valley, nice little sheltered area, just out of view of anyone who's trying to observe the British front line. This is Norfolk Cemetery. We were saying last night how Britain was very class driven. It was also divided up purely on where the trenches were 15 yards apart, just in that little pasture there. And you can see the scrubby trees and the lips of craters to the left of that. This is the whole area known as the Glory Hole, which is now being protected by a working UNESCO party. It's one of the areas of the Western Front which has remained untouched for 100 years. There are still men and bodies underground. We know that tunnellers were killed and there were collapses which meant that soldiers couldn't be recovered, and their bodies are underground just in that area of land up there on the right hand side.
That's that
As you turn to page 11, you can see the Seaport Highlanders that were part of the Tyneside Scottish, and that's a photograph taken about 7:45 in the morning of men coming up this field on our left-hand side up towards to attack the ridge over our shoulders on the right. So we're just next to the Glory Hole here and picking up the line that was a trench line known as Stone Street as we come down to crossing the village. Look up beyond the wooden shed, you'll be able to see the remains of the craters of the lips of the craters in this plot of land on the right as we come around it. Fortunately, it's privately owned, and we can't get in without prior arrangement. It's a local family, but there's been a bit of controversy over the ownership of the land and how it's dealt with. You can see that some people have left. There are a number of plaques around the outskirts of around the outline of the craters, just indicating where people have been killed, and in some cases where their bodies are 85 feet underground in the usually one of the muddiest places that we encounter on the Somme, but not today, it's typically dry and dusty. Look to your right as we start coming up this little climb here, just in the on the edge of the field, 50 yards away from us. You can see a grey post with a Union Jack flying on it. That is past, that's signifying the front line on the 1st of July, the British front line. As we come up here, look out just at 9 o'clock, the trees and the pile of bales. That was one of the German strongholds that was in contact with the point that we've just been at, Somme and at Rotterdam, so the two would have been in contact with each other. So just beware that there's someone with two little kids on bikes. We're just going to let them come past. So while we're here, look out to your left. This whole field on our left would have been held by the Germans, and you can see where they've got a checkpoint of some kind for the event that's going on. Some cars up at 11 o'clock just on the skyline. That was one of their gun emplacements that was looking down into the valley, which is ahead of us at 1 o'clock. So everything from the trench system on our left and through the trenches and follow up into the village of Fricourt. On the left-hand side is the point that the German machine gun post was positioned to view across down into the valley, into Mash Valley, which is where this silver Peugeot is facing. So we're now at a position where the Germans would have been able to look down. If you look, as we're dropping down here at 2 o'clock, you can see the Basilica in Albert, and you can just about see the top of Bécourt Chateau, and that's where the British were. The Germans were just on this point here, so that's how close German machine guns and British officers were on the front line position. If you look across at 2 o'clock, you can see Bécourt Wood Cemetery, and that's a battlefield burial. There are photographs in existence of Australian doctors and padres carrying out burial services in that wood there, and it was an area that was used by all divisions, all battalions, and all armies came through Bécourt Wood at some stage during the battles of 16, 17 and 18. Where was that cemetery, sorry? Wait, can you just say that again? I was just wondering where that cemetery was. It was Bécourt Wood Cemetery, which is just down in the woods to our right hand side. Thanks. came down the valley on our right hand side, and it was used right through the preparations and following the initial July offensive. It was used right through till September, October and November. But in order for the Australians to advance on Poitiers, which they captured on I think the 23rd of July, the Australian troops that were coming up this valley in front of us weren't sure how many men they would be able to get up in time for their attack on the village. So in Fricourt, which is a little village down at 9 and 10 o'clock, they set up a census on the junction. And I'm just going to read from the McDonald's book about the census that was taken and the amount of men that were travelling on this track, which we're about to turn on to again. The road through Fricourt was a single route towards Highwood, Delville Wood and Quimont, which for most of the way was not overlooked by the enemy. We're branching off through Fricourt and not going up by the way of Sausage Valley to the right of Lapoiselle. The troops could reach the front line of Poitiers in comparative safety. During the 24 hours when the Anzacs were moving into the line, between 9:15 in the morning, on the morning of the July the 21st, to 9 o'clock on the morning of the 22nd, the traffic post at Fricourt Cemetery took a census of the troops and vehicles that passed. Without the start, the enemy soaked the road with tear gas, and for 6 hours, the census takers were forced to wear goggles. This may explain the counter for the incompleteness of their return. But in spite of this handicap, they had managed to count 2,423 motor vehicles, including lorries, motor cars, buses, motorbikes and ambulances. And these were throwing clouds of black dust that blinded the horses and irritated the throats of 4,000 drivers of horse-drawn wagons, 5,404 mounted officers, 1,043 men riding bicycles. The column unfortunately did not manage to make a complete count of the infantry moving from the line, but their nearest approximate figure that they could be arrived at was 26,536. So almost 1,000 men an hour, 4,000 men on horses, all using this track which we're driving on now. Imagine the movement of troops in support of everyone who is going into the line for the village, which is where we'll be up to that later on this afternoon. If you have a look at the fence post on our right hand side, which is made up out of British engineers railway tracks that's been hammered in, and some of the old sections are still in there. From 1917 onwards, when the British held the village of Fricourt, there's a little railhead down in the valley just on our right, probably where that Fricourt and the bright green field is. And that railhead was used to bring stuff on trolley cars and narrow gauge tracks up from Albert and from Amiens. So a lot of their supplies were brought into the back of the village here on the trains that ran in the bottom of the valley, and now the farmers have dug it all up. They use it as fence posts. Through the houses at about 1 and 2 o'clock, you'll see one of the smallest cemeteries on the Somme. It's a battlefield burial, and in the corner of it, you'll see a stone cross. We have our standard cross sacrifice in the cemetery, but there's also a small stone cross down on the left-hand corner of the cemetery, and that was put in by soldiers, I think of the Northumberland Division, and put in before the end of the war by soldiers who had buried their colleagues in that cemetery, and for years and years while there were still surviving members of the division and the battalion, right up until the late 80s, they would return in July each year to hold a little ceremony down in that cemetery there. So we're now in the village of Fricourt, and we're going to turn left here, but as we turn left you can see a modern day finger post at the bottom of the village green, and that's the point just near the Fricourt cemetery, which is down on our right hand side. This is the junction, and the sign for Mamet, 2 kilometres, is where the Australian rescue saviours stood for 24 hours, counting the thousands of men that came down the track that we've just driven along. The village it has been extensively damaged. Most of the buildings had either been destroyed or were beyond use, so were rebuilt after the war. But the village has been rebuilt on exactly the same footprint as it was pre-war, so to bring any returning soldiers back, they would probably have recognised the streets up here. We're going to drive out of the village and grab the cars up here, park up and go and walk into another cemetery, quite a famous cemetery that we were in yesterday afternoon. This is one of the German cemeteries in the Somme.
What do you fucking think it is? Shoved it on my arse. My arms ache.
Corporal Dwyer with his PC and Albert Badbins with his stolen German uniform. We carry on up towards Bazin-San, the city of Bazin-San Le Grand. Turn to page 4, which has got the map on it. You can see Mammoth Switch, which is the Welsh Dragon, where we've left the Sandy before. And you can see the dotted line of 14th of July between Mammoth and Bazin-San-le-Petit. And this is the village of Bazin-San-le-Petit. And Bazin-San Wood, which is just up ahead of us at sort of between 10 and 11 o'clock. We're now going to travel from Bazin-San-le-Petit directly east towards Longval and Delville Wood, where we're going to stop. And it's a typical map. You can see the diamonds of Highwood. We're now heading almost directly towards the lower 90-degree corner of the wood. That's where we are on the map. We're on the line of the 15th of September. This battle that took up more Highwood up through here and Delville Wood up over on our right hand side was the night of the 14th to the 17th of September to take Highwood. As we carry on up this lane here, the ridge up over our left-hand side is going to will have been on the night of the 14th approached by the 20th Royal Deccan Horse. There was an Indian regiment of lancers that were brought up here, and they took one of the last cavalry charges of the First World War, and they charged from this ridge straight ahead of us, up over the field on our left, into to take the lower corner of Highwood. And the thought was that they would be able to burst through the German defences, and the infantry would be able to follow in and take the wood from the Germans. But the Germans yet again had their machine guns well positioned, and the Indian lancers came up over this ridge on our left and went straight into the line of fire from the German machine guns. And I think they lost 95 horses and 72 men in this field up behind Thistle Dump Cemetery. We're just going to stop here for a moment for them to play with the train for a minute. While we're here, I'll just explain to you that up on our right at 1 o'clock you can see some trees around the cemetery. So in 1916, not 1944, 1916, Mr. Alley ran up across the field on our left. That's where Thistle Dump got its name from. That's the trench line that ran up over the field on our left. And we're now coming up to George Alley and a series of trenches that ran up as communication trenches up over the ridge towards the cemetery on our right hand side. So this is the field on our left-hand side with the potatoes going off, and the 20th Deccan Horse lancers went in. It must have been quite something else for a group of Indian officers to come halfway around the world to fight in northern France and die galloping up across this field here into the base of German machine guns, which were just on the lower corner of the wood up there on our left. And now ahead of us we can see the church spire of Longval village was just on the outskirts of Delville Wood. South Africa's newest Devil's Wood, and they lost about 75% of their men who went into attack this wood here. There is another story that goes with Delville Wood, and that is of men from the Somerset Yeomanry who went in to attack it. I'm guessing that all of you will have seen God's Army at some stage. Arnold Ridley, who's the old man with white hair, was an actor in the 60s and a playwright. But in 1916, he was a soldier with the Somerset Yeomanry. He went into... sorry, we're going to have to stop here, gents. Ladies and gents, just for a minute. Arnold Ridley went into to battle with the Somerset Yeomanry in Delville Wood. He was attacked by a German who lunged for him with a bayonet and put a bayonet through his hand and also through his groin, and he went unconscious through loss of blood through his groin injury. He then had a rifle butt put around the back of his head. So the old man with white hair that you see in Dad's Army films actually saw considerable action in this wood ahead of us, this lane, and go around and stop up in not just beyond the church spire for lunch. Over on our right was the collecting point for tanks that came into attack on the same day that they collected on the Pozier Ridge. Tanks went into battle in Delville Wood here on the 15th of September, the same day as they went into Flers Courcelette. They came off a railhead up on the ridge on our right hand side and came down into this valley and collected somewhere where the herd of cows is, over on our right. And then went through the bottom of the valley where the poplar trees are. 4 tanks going to the left of the wood, and 3 tanks going to the right of the wood. 4 tanks on the left came up over this field through the area where the bales are and out through the telegraph pylons in support of the New Zealand troops that were attacking over this side of the ridge. And the right side of the wood was taken by 41st Division, which included soldiers of the King's Shropshire Infantry and my great uncle, and he went into battle on the right hand side of the wood with tanks going into battle for the first time ever on the 15th of September 1916. If you look at the fence line just on the right of us here, once we're back on the track, you can see a lot of the curly-whirlies, as they've been called by many people. They're the original barbed wire entanglement tickets that were used by both sides, and they've been laid up by the farmer. There's probably as much through into the ground that you can, as you can see above ground, but these have been put in by the farmer. They were manufactured in equal quantities by Buffers, the Swedish armament manufacturer, and they were sold to both sides in equal quantities so that no one had advantage over the other. But the Swedes profited phenomenally from the sale of them.
Sorry about making a face there. We'll catch up in a second.
Okay, that's fine. We shouldn't be out of sight, but we're going to do a left, or we have done a left at the end of the lane, and then we're going to do two rights and go up into the village. If you haven't got to that, we'll wait for you once we're on the tarmac.
If any consolation, I'm going to be walking off.
We'll broadcast that to everyone. As we go up this little dusty piece of track, there's a sign and a tree straight ahead of us, but we're going to turn 90 degrees right, and as we do so, look up across the field and you'll see a cream white stone obelisk up on the ridge there, and that's the New Zealand memorial to the missing, and it was the divisional boundary for the 50th and the 41st division that came in here. The 50th went across the ridge, and they were the New Zealand troops who'd come from the other side of the world to support the Commonwealth and the King, and they went in to attack Blair, which is a village on the other side of the wood. We'll see it a bit later on. So they were supported by tanks running straight out, following the line of the telegraph wires. We're going to come up into the village, following the route that the 41st Division took.